Jonathan Doherty's book, Secrets, is the true story that takes you on his journey through brokenness and despair that will captivate you, encourage you, and ultimately motivate you to live your own life to the fullest. It is a story of a man who had a secret, one that shaped his view of life and relationships for 13 years. Secrets is Jonathan's story of overcoming addiction, infidelity, and finally finding the path that led him to a place of true peace and freedom. Whether you are living a double life of secrecy and lies or not, Secrets will move you to reconsider how you live your life from this moment on, challenging you to live each day with no more regrets. Secrets, a true story of addiction, infidelity, and second chances, is available wherever Christian books are sold or on the book's website at www.secretsbook.net. Welcome to Pure Sex Radio, training men, educating women. Are you ready to get real and start living each day in purity? This dynamic program is designed to educate, encourage, and equip listeners with the tools necessary for living a life of sexual purity. Pure Sex Radio brings you the best in mobile talk radio. Listen to real-life struggles, learn how to overcome lust, pornography, and sex addiction, and get serious about purity. Your hosts for Pure Sex Radio are Jonathan Doherty and Stephen Cervantes. Jonathan is the director of Be Broken Ministries and founder of the Gateway to Freedom Workshop for Men. Stephen is the founder of the Hope Counseling Center. Visit us online at puresexradio.com. And now, please welcome Jonathan and Stephen on Pure Sex Radio.
Good day, radio listeners. Welcome to this week's edition of the Pure Sex Radio broadcast. We're glad to have you here with us. My name is Jonathan. I'm here with Stephen. Stephen, how are you this morning?
I'm blessed. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, you know what? We have got quite a bit to cover, I think, today. So I want to just kind of jump in because Stephen has this incredible ability to just like fire off all these thoughts onto a sheet of paper. And then we come in here and we sort of, he starts scribbling little numbers next to each one to say, okay, well, let's start with this one. And this, to me, these are the most exciting broadcasts, I think, because we don't necessarily know where they're going to go when we start them. And then God always ends up showing up and something good happens.
I appreciate your saying that because sometimes they start rough, but it's always like, wow, that was good. That was good. Two guys sitting in a room talking to the world, talking to men and women, and hopefully providing a challenging dialogue, even though it's a monologue your way, it's a dialogue our way, but we hope that you feel a part of it, and we sense your presence. So what are you going to call this one?
I was just thinking like random recovery thoughts. Or
I like it. Random recovery thoughts. Here's number one. These are comments men have said that we've picked up along the way working with men. I hate to admit this, but I see myself just spiraling deeper and deeper into this addiction.
Mm-hmm. And when guys say that, first of all, my first reaction is, duh. Because it's like I've been there. I know what it's like. But my second reaction is there's this agony in my heart because I'm thinking what they're really saying by saying that is, and I don't know how to get out of it. It's like this tight spiral. It's like being in quicksand. Man, it seems like the more I struggle, the more I try, the deeper I sink into this.
Yes, and what comes to me is like, and it's darker, and it's sadder, and there's less light, and there's less hope as I go deeper and deeper into this.
Because the deception of the addictive spiral is that really to get out of it, you just need to do more of it. which is a totally illogical.
Wait a minute. Make that make sense. To get out of it, you do more of it?
Yeah, because the guy thinks, well, okay, listen, I've been looking at porn, and he's spiraling, and then he goes, well, now there's a woman at work that's really been showing interest in me. Well, he's been he's got such delusions with the porn about relationships and females and all this kind of stuff, and he's a married guy, but now he's entertaining thoughts about having an affair. And what he's thinking is, well, this is good. And that's part of the delusion too. So I just
that is goofy thinking.
It is, but that's kind of the way the delusion happens. It's over time.
Yeah.
And the more you are basically being self-deceived, the easier it is to then deceive everybody else.
But so you can say,
deeper and deeper.
I'm not only spiraling deeper and deeper, my thoughts are getting crazier and crazier. Right?
More and more delusions, yes.
So number 2 in our random recovery thought dialogue, much of my life I've spent hiding. How does that strike you?
Well, I mean, I can definitely relate to that one. And I think part of this is there's multiple reasons, that a person might hide. I think in the addiction world, or in the folks who are struggling with habitual sins or sexual struggles and strongholds, is the primary motivator for that hiding is fear. And usually what it comes out to be is it's a fear of, number one, a fear of the secret behaviors that they've been doing being known. But I actually think, in my own personal experience, I really think it goes much, much deeper than that. And it's a little bit of what we touched on in a previous broadcast, where the real fear is getting down beneath those behaviors and really actually somebody seeing just how broken I am. Like that I really am a broken man.
Oh, there's fear. So that's why I hide even more, because I am getting worse and I hide more, and I get worse and I hide more. Is that what you're saying?
Well, and I hide on one level because of the behaviors, right? Because a guy who goes deep into this, he's telling lies and he's keeping secrets and so there's a fear of just getting caught for the things that he's doing. But I think the deeper fear that keeps us disconnected from other people is, if you know me, I mean, if you knew the thoughts I have and the struggles I have and the temptations I face and just how broken of a man I am, would you really even continue to have a conversation with me? That kind of fear.
That is a lot of fear. But it's interesting. I don't know if you've experienced this, but the more people talk about struggling and sad, it's like, oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you struggle. Oh, yeah, me too. You're scared. Oh, me too. You're hurting. Yeah, me too. You did stupid. Oh, yeah, I did stupid. Yeah, me too. There's the opposite happens when you go to one of our retreats and you tell your story. And I just remember one guy breaking out crying and saying, I've never said that to anyone. And you guys still love me? Yeah, sure. You're just humanity like the rest of us,
Yeah.
So much of my life I spent hiding. 2 thoughts come to me. There's no answers to your problem in hiding, and there's no freedom in hiding. So that which you are doing more and more of only makes you worse.
Well, because if you think about it, okay, hiding, we could think of this in spiritual terms. That implies darkness, right? So we hide in the dark. You don't hide in the light. You can't hide in the light. Light exposes everything.
Yes.
So when you're hiding and you're in the dark, how well do we, move around in the dark? You ever tried to go through your house in pitch black? You stub your toe, you trip over stuff.
It's true. It's true. You hit the door, you're trying to not, and you hit the thing you're trying to not hit.
So the bottom line is you can't find the way out in the dark.
That's good. You sound smart today, Jonathan. This is good. I love this line. It just makes me smile. I don't know what to do about it, but I think it's a hilarious line. Hey, I didn't know that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because people will try to help you fix something. Well, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that it was broken. I didn't know that I was supposed to know that.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that a great line? Because there's lots of people walking around not knowing that they're supposed to know something.
Right.
But they don't know that they're supposed to know thing.
And I think we're going to actually see this more and more in our culture, because so many kids today are growing up in such a sexually saturated culture that they don't even know where appropriate boundaries are on sexuality. So even introduce to them the idea of faithfulness and sexual boundaries, anything like that, they'll be, I didn't even know that I didn't know. I didn't even know that.
So then it comes to their awareness. It's like, I don't know. It's just a very complicated statement. I don't want to say any more about it, because I just think every time I hear it, it's pretty deep. It's like deep insight is rising up.
And what I hear in this comment is when a person is willing to make that, they are stepping into a new realm of accountability.
Yes.
Because think about it. When you now know, you can't say, I don't know.
It's true.
Right?
Right.
So there's a new accountability, and that to me is where growth starts to happen, is you realize, hey, okay, so light just exposed an area in my life that I didn't even know was in the dark.
Yes.
And now I can't say, I don't know about it anymore. I got to do something about it. I can either try to hide it again, or I can actually work on moving forward and get help.
And there's a part of you have to be willing to listen and receive to bring that deep sort of ignorance up, right? Because we're sort of faking it and doing what we've always done, and we think it's okay.
And I also hear a lot of humility in this statement.
Yes.
Really think about it. If you actually say this and mean it, I didn't know that I didn't know. There's humility in that, because you're admitting I was totally ignorant.
It's really ignorant. It's really ignorant. And that's why I smile about it, because I think I have a fear. What if there was something you're supposed to know and you didn't know it, and you get to the end of life and somebody says, oh, you knew that, didn't you? No, I didn't know that.
Right.
That would have changed everything, So sometimes you wonder, why does he collect all these random thoughts? Why is he trying to figure out life and emotions? I think way back when, early on, there was a fear that, like, everybody knew and I didn't know, and I didn't even know that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. That's enough of that. Number 4, a guy that made this statement: I cannot connect to strangers. I'm sorry. I can connect to strangers, but I can't connect with people around me, my family, my kids. But I can connect with complete strangers, but I can't with my family.
Now, I have been able to identify with this one very personally in my own history, and I think I'll speak a little bit into it. This idea that, and I think the reason that there's so many that develop who have developed addictions or certain strongholds, that this is a statement that they would make, or at least that they would believe, even if they wouldn't make the statement, is that in order to perpetuate an addictive cycle, you have to build an image, right? Because we got to keep things in the dark. So therefore, I have to be able to present myself to people as somebody that I'm not. And a lot of times what this means is when you present that image to strangers, it's very easy to feel connected to them.
Oh, the image.
Yeah, because they don't know you.
Right.
So you have this pseudo-type connection. Conversation flows easily. They think you're the best thing since sliced bread, and because you're presenting them this awesome image of how wonderful a person you are, right? So in the statement, there's even deception in that first one. I can connect to strangers. No, I can feel like I'm connected to strangers. I'm not really connected to them.
Oh, and I can make them believe they know me and that we're buddies or something.
This other statement, I can't connect to those who are closest to me. I would say I can't feel connected to those who are closest to me because they don't buy the image. They have seen cracks in my image. They've seen moments where some of my weakness comes through. And I kind of long for a really authentic, genuine, intimate relationship with my family where there are no secrets and they can really know me. But I'm scared. And so I keep pulling back, and I don't really know.
And the skills aren't that great, right? At connecting and here. You haven't practiced the connection. You practice detaching, right?
And so this has been an area in which I've had to grow much over the years, because it's part of deconstructing that image and saying, listen, I need to be safe in my home. I need to feel a sense, I need to grow, like you're saying. I need to grow in those skills, those emotional skills, those communication skills, the willingness to admit my weaknesses, confess my sin, those kind of things. And then in some ways it's like I need to think of strangers and family or those closest to me in a very different way. It's not that I go and continue to present an image to strangers, but I don't seek to connect with them in the same way that I connect with my family and those closest to me.
Yeah, no, that's
and there's a lot of people that when they start getting in recovery, they don't see that boundary, and they start telling their, the checkout lady at, the grocery store all their deepest, darkest secrets. Like, whoa. There's still an appropriate level of discretion.
Right, and don't bond to strangers.
Yeah.
So here's another wife comment. It goes like this. My husband is a very intelligent man, but how can he be so relationally stupid? Now, I don't know if that's a joke, but there's pain in that and sadness in it. I mean, here's a really smart, really successful, accomplished guy that everybody goes ooh, about. But relationally, I am a lonely wife because this guy is ignorant.
Did you have a phone conversation with Elaine to get this statement? I'm joking, but I think she could have said this in our history for sure. And I think this is one of those things that gets back to a previous broadcast that we did on just the emotional brokenness that is prevalent in so many men. Because here's the thing, I think. And I'll talk about men particularly, because obviously there's a wife that's saying this, so she's talking about a man. She's talking about her husband. As men, man, it is such a rush to thrive intellectually, to thrive in career, to thrive in achievement, right? Yes. And I think men, we can do that really, really well. In some ways, we feel more wired in that direction. Intellectual and achievement and do. And yet we're called into the deepest relationship that we can have, which is marriage. We're called into an emotional connection with a woman. And immediately we feel inadequate. We feel unskilled. We feel, in some ways, we might feel even slighted that we didn't get any training from our parents, from our own dad on this.
Yeah.
And so usually what that means is we shut down there and we continue to thrive in our achievement, our intellectual pursuits, and then we try to bring that impressiveness from our workplace into the home. And she goes, "I'm not impressed." Because
she should be.
Because it's like, I already know you're brilliant, intelligent, and achieving, but I need your heart. I need to connect with your heart. And so this is an area where if we could take that same energy of achievement and intellect and those kind of things and direct it towards growing emotionally, I think the sky's the limit in a marriage relationship. The problem is, as men, we don't do well with fear and inadequacy.
That's right. With failing and being a disappointment, we hate that.
We don't do well with that, yeah.
Yes.
And so I think that's good. If our listeners can, if the men out there who are listening, if you could think of working on emotion and emotional connection in your relationships in the same way that you would work on a project at work or an intellectual pursuit or something that you're going to achieve, you might really start seeing some great enhancement in those relationships.
So I'm going down my outline. Number 5 here is a healing cycle. What does the healing cycle look like? It always starts with, once you have your aha moment that you've created a mess, then it starts with grieving and being sad for what you've done to you and done to others and what you've wasted. And we go from grieving and crying out to God to also resting in His presence, and then we move to acceptance of His love. Right? We don't fight this. We grieve. We be still and quiet and restful. We accept we made a mess, but that we're not a mess, and that we're still loved. And then we take a step of growth, move in a direction of growing, do something. And then when you strip away the next layer and you see, One guy said, I've wasted 20 years. Some guy said, I've wasted thousands of dollars. One guy said, I've wasted my youth, right? When you see what you've wasted, you go into the grieving process.
Now, and Stephen, is this something that you will only ever do once in your life?
Yeah, I know. And then you repeat. I forgot that part. And then a little later, hit the repeat button and do it again.
And why is that, really? It's because we live in a broken world with broken people, right?
We're not perfect parents.
Yeah.
We're not perfect sons. We're not perfect spouses, right? We're not perfect workers. We could have done more. We could have. And so we have to be a little bit gracious to ourselves.
And so not only is this something that you will have to do many times over the course of your life, but it's also something that does not happen quickly, right? I mean, even when I'm looking at those first two, grieve and rest, that has large time elements to it, right?
Yes.
Because for one thing, we're not good in our culture with stillness. And I think real healing, I mean, when you've been wounded,
yes,
when you've failed in some way, getting still and resting and grieving, it requires a lot of time. And I would say, I guess this is another thing I'd say to our listeners, if you can take that one little element out of this entire broadcast of grieving, resting, accepting, and growing, and say, I want to get really good at this process, you will probably live a life of great peace.
That's good.
Because think about it. I mean, think about what people hold on to that creates such discord in their lives.
And their anger and their hurt.
Yeah.
And I can't forgive, and he did this to me, and this bad thing, and life's dumped on me. There's no rest in that. There's no release, right? And so grieving is also something we don't understand well.
Yeah.
Move to grief so you can move to the next place. Hold it and become bitter and get worse. And
so we probably need to have our radar up for those things that rise up in our spirit that cause a feeling of bitterness or anger, and recognize that, so that we can say, what am I doing here? Am I seeking to hold on to this, or could I go through this process and be still and grieve and accept the realities that I cannot change, and then grow in those areas that I can actually produce some change?
That's good. One of the Gateway men made this statement. He said, I'm the leader, and I must lead, and I have to start by fixing me. Because I can tell everybody else what's wrong with them, and I can talk fast, and I can point out problems, and I can be sarcastic, belittling, shaming, attacking, but I don't own my brokenness very well. And that ends today. If I'm going to lead, I must lead in the healing process too.
And what's interesting is what he might have discovered as soon as he went on this venture is that such leading, as he put it, I need to start by fixing me. He probably learned very quickly after making this statement and getting on this journey that it requires following. And I'll say it on two levels. One is, the super spiritual level, right? I need to follow Jesus, right?
Yes.
But guess what? I also got to follow other guys that are further down the journey than I am. I got to be willing to submit myself and realize, man, if I am going to get well, I got to admit I'm not well. And so therefore, by admitting I'm not well, could there be some guys around that are well that could maybe help me, that I could glean some information from, that I could learn from and sit under and really grow in? And so it's kind of an interesting paradox here that in order to lead and in order to go out and do this radical thing of getting well, we have to follow. We have to learn how to submit and humble ourselves.
That's good. So going down my list, number 7, when your emotional system is off, it's broken, it's not working, then everything is off. Your hearing is off, right? Your ability to listen, to stay present. You become defensive too quick. You deny too much. You disconnect too fast. Instead of when your emotional system is working well, you grieve, you rest, you accept, you grow. Comment?
Well, it's interesting. When I first saw what you had written there where you said your hearing is off. I'm thinking, well, do you lose your hearing? But I understand what you're saying. Physically lose your hearing. But in some ways, it can feel like that to the person who's trying to talk to you, right? Because you're not present, you're not listening. And what I think is interesting about this is I heard a thing recently that really resonated with me, and it might fit here. And it was the idea of practicing presence. And
that's good.
And when you think about emotional, your emotional system, especially as it pertains to relationship, are you practicing presence? Mm-hmm. Meaning, are you practicing being in this moment, right here, right now, connected to the person you're with? And a lot of times, we're not practicing presence. We're practicing disconnect. We're practicing illusion. We're practicing
solving the problem,
right.
Thinking ahead. What are you going to say next?
And I think the reason this resonated with me is I can tend to be a person that, I'm way out in the future. I mean, like, if people knew which calendar we were working on right now, they'd be amazed at how far out in the future we are for events and things like that. And so a lot of times my mind is out there. I have to really be careful when I'm in a conversation with somebody and in a moment that I don't find myself going out there. I need to practice presence. And that means more than just hearing words and then forming my own response so that I can continue to be the center of attention. It means practicing emotional presence. Am I really understanding the meaning behind this person's word? Am I feeling what they're feeling? Am I understanding what they're saying to me, about me? And are there things that I need to change and respond? And
listening deeply to them. That's it, yeah. That's good. So what great need or truth are you looking for this week so you can be more set free? That's a question. What do you need more of so that you can be more free? And then the whole idea of practicing, I like what you said, presence, and practicing connecting with others, staying just a little bit longer, trying a little bit harder, listening a little deeper, paying more attention. I mean, it's interesting because when someone's talking, everything you need is out in front of you. You just need your processor to work. You don't need your stories, your solution. You don't need much of you. And so when we're connecting, they're presenting the problem. They're telling you the struggle. They're telling you what they've tried. Right? Almost 99% of the information is out in front of you. It's not inside you somehow. And so practicing connecting is two things: being present and then staying in the story and really sorting through their story as opposed to, well, I have a story that matches your story.
Right, or mine's better than yours.
Yeah, or this happened to me too. Let me tell you my story, and then you sort of take over. Or hey, this solution fit me. It'll fit you too. And
sometimes I think if you're really, especially if you're practicing presence with somebody who's hurting and they're telling you their pain.
Yes.
Sometimes the best response is no response. And what I mean by that is things where you're using, the only thing you're doing is using words of empathy. I'm sorry. Oh, that must have really hurt.
Yes.
Tell me more.
Yes.
Just... And even, there may be appropriate moments where it's, what do you need from me right now? How can I help?
I want to tell you something that I've observed in terms of females listening and talking to one another. Because a female will say, let me tell you the story. And then the person on the other line will go, no, really? Oh, my. It's just what you're saying. It's being present, saying a little word. And what I'm saying, everything is in their story. You don't need anything much. Use their story. And so we want you to practice that skill of being present and making a better connection this week as we go forth and love one another better.
So that's all the time we have this week. So that's, a lot of random recovery thoughts, but I think, I hope these will be helpful to you as you continue your journey of growth and working toward becoming a man and woman of integrity. If you'd like to have better contact with us, or you'd like some more personal help in your own journey and story, please contact us. We'll give you that information in a moment. And we're glad you've been with us this week, and we look forward to having you back next week on the Pure Sex Radio broadcast.
Pure Sex Radio is paid for by Be Broken Ministries. Visit us online at puresexradio.com.